right, welcome back, everybody, for a special edition of the CBSI Hot 10 list. This is going to be my special Hot 10 list focused in on New York Comic Con exclusives. As you know, I don't like to include exclusives or store variants, etc. on the main list because it's just not apples to apples. It's not fair. So I like to keep these kinds of things separate. So I am doing a special list just for those New York Comic Con exclusives because I know there's a lot of excitement and a lot of collectors that are looking forward to this. So I figured I'd do like I did with the, I think I did this for MegaCon as well as San Diego, and plan to keep doing this from here on out. So if there's a big con coming up, I will cover a special list just on their exclusives. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you haven't tried Whatnot yet, first-time users, click my link below. Get yourselves a free $15 to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want. I know there were some exclusives dropped this weekend through Whatnot. Maybe you're curious. Maybe you want to give it a try. Use this free $15 to give it a look-see. You really got nothing to lose, and you'll help out the channel while doing so. Now, if you're in the market to protect all of your collectibles, whether you're in the market for bags, boards, boxes, top loaders, etc., you're going to go buying them from BCW as it is, so might as well save yourself some money. You can use my link. You can use my code, RENA10, to save 10% off, because what's wrong with saving money? You know, if you're going to be buying it anyway, you might as well use my code and save yourself a little bit of a discount. So there it is, RENA10, get yourself 10% off that order. So without further ado, if you want to see the list of the hottest New York Comic Con exclusives so far, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back.
Notable sales.
All right, before we get in with our couple of notable sales, these are some just missed the list kind of exclusives. I said at the beginning, so far, because I'm doing this on Saturday, the New York Comic Con isn't over yet. There's still more to be done, more to be announced through Sunday, more exclusives and giveaways, giving out at panels, etc. So there will be things that are not included on this list, but we are deep enough into the convention that I feel we've got a good sense of which books most collectors are kind of gravitating towards, even ahead of some of these giveaways. Yes, today Marvel had another giveaway where they gave away a Daredevil Born Again book. Not a lot of traction yet on that one. Bad Idea also gave away a special copy of The Lot, which made the main list as it was optioned this week, from Bad Idea. There's also 2 more Marvel panels tomorrow where they're going to be giving away books. So who knows what they might be giving away. So not everything's going to be on the list. But through Saturday, that's mostly through the con, this is a good gauge, and we're going to start off with our first book that really is one of the best buys out there. I mean, considering the cost and the and where it's at right now. And this is out of Vault Comics, Lilith. I know Lilith had a lot of covers when it came out, but this is a fun, that Le Cat Noir or whatever. There's that awesome J. Scott Campbell that also homaged this poster. The poster you'll find in many college campuses, in dorm rooms, etc. But this notable sale is here because you could have picked it up for only $15. Limited to 300 copies, only $15 at the convention. Sean Gordon Murphy did the cover, and right now it's averaging $100. Granted, only like a handful of sales, just like, like half a dozen or so far. But that's what we're talking about. The convention, sometimes there's a big rush for certain books. Other books might take a little bit longer to kind of gain some traction, etc. But $100 so far is a nice return if you would have picked one up for $15. So this one is kind of notable. Apart from this one, I also wanted to mention a couple of other panel giveaways that, kind of have a special place in my heart, as you can see from my hat, that I am a huge fan of G.I. Joe and Transformers and the Energon universe that Skybound's been doing right now. So I am curious about these giveaways from G.I. Joe. They did this last year, or through San Diego, I should say, where they gave away a couple of ash cans for the current series. Right now, we're prepping for G.I. Joe #1 coming out, I believe, in January. So right now, here's an ash can from a Midtown panel. So there's a Midtown panel where you got this one with the Extensive Enterprises logo. That is Tomax and Zaymot's company. If you remember, have been reading the series, you had Mars and Destro. You got all these different factions messing around in the G.I. Joe universe. So they're all getting their special covers. There was a Dreadnoks one also, I believe, available through Big Clutch. Those are readily available if you wanted to go looking. They're like 25 bucks, but this one was given out at a panel. And there was also another panel through Hasbro where they gave out a Night Force logo copy. So different versions, same ash cans. See what you can find. The Midtown one is doing a little bit better as far as resale value goes. Is an ash can, was given away at a panel. No idea how many they have or how many they printed, how many are out there or anything like that. But this one from the Midtown panel with the Extensive Enterprises logo is selling at about 135 bucks on average. Granted, again, it's a small portion, a small handful of sales is all we're really working with here. The Night Force one out of the Hasbro panel is probably averaging around 90 bucks, I would say. And also only a handful of sales there as well. But something to watch, something that's interesting, which is why they ended up here as notable sales. But if you want to see the actual main list, don't worry, it'll be coming up right now, actually.
Number 10.
All right, kicking us off at number 10. Let's start here with our first book. This is a Peach Momoko Daredevil that features Jeff the Landshark. This is Daredevil, I believe, 14, if I'm not mistaken. This was given away as a Marvel Unlimited Plus members exclusive. So if you were a member of Marvel Unlimited Plus, you could have gotten yourself a copy of this book. This is not the one that's causing fistfights out there in the on the floor of the convention, but it is a pretty cool Peach Momoko cover. It's got they got the Daredevil radar. It fits the vibe. You got Jeff the Landshark. Can't go wrong there. And it's doing all right, considering, again, if you have Marvel Unlimited Plus, you could have gotten yourself a copy of this book. There have been, about a dozen sold so far, which isn't too bad as far as volume goes when we're talking about exclusive mid-con, just checking off of eBay sales. This obviously isn't accounting for any other avenue of commerce, any other sales platform, or any other just hand-to-hand deals. This is just all that I could track through eBay. So a dozen sales so far, averaging about 65 bucks, has this one coming in our 10th spot. Now, with that, we're not going to linger around for too long. We're just going to keep it rolling and move on to our next book next.
Number 9.
This one here is a Marvel panel giveaway. Yes, that is Doom, and Doom wearing Doctor Strange's, Cloak of Levitation, the Eye of Agamotto, if I'm saying that right. I know my pronunciation is usually off, but Fantastic Four, number 13, polybagged panel giveaway, covered by Greg Land. Had you gone to I believe it's the Next Big Thing Marvel panel, this might have been Friday. I think this was a Friday panel. You would have been able to get this book here, and it's already doing quite well as far as things go. Marvel panels, their giveaways generally have a lot of interest because there's a lot of Marvel collectors out there. Same thing with DC. I mean, DC did just announce Vertigo coming back, and they did have a Nice House by the Sea giveaway that's also doing right. Not enough to make the list, but something to keep an eye on. It's like 50 bucks or so. But here we have a dozen sold already on the Doom cover, averaging about $61, maybe a little bit more. So far, so good. Again, these kind of come polybagged like those one per stores they were giving away to shops this past year with some of their bigger releases. So, you don't really want to leave it in that crappy poly bag too long, but that's how they were given out at the convention. And you just got to hope, if you are buying one secondhand because you are not at New York Comic Con, just hopefully the person who did purchase this or did get this at the panel took care of it, because again, it's they're kind of crappy poly bag. You're going to shove it in their backpack, whatever. Hopefully it doesn't get too damaged. That's all I'm saying. But with that said, let's move on to our next book.
Number 8.
We talked about this when we were looking ahead on TAC, that I kind of like this Will Jack cover for Vampirella, and I still do. It's also pretty cool that it has the I Heart New York t-shirt she's rocking there. It fits the convention. It's a good memento for anybody who went to the con, and it's a book that's doing all right so far. I mean, Vampirella $672, limited to $500. Yes, it did cost 40 bucks to buy it. Will Jack cover. Will Jack has plenty of his fans for his art. 40 bucks is a decent buy-in, but it's doing a bit better than that as far as resale goes. Again, we got under 20 sales, but averaging 75 bucks. That's a quick premium that you're getting to flip, as I know a lot of people who go to New York Comic Con do some of this flipping because they kind of have to help pay for the cost of their tickets, their stays. It ain't cheap to stay in New York. It ain't cheap to go to New York Comic Con. So a lot of people do have to hustle, sell some of these books that they can go and pick up just to kind of get some of their money back and to make it cost effective for them to go. Now, with that said, I dig this cover. Had I gone, I probably would have kept an eye out for this one because, like I said, I dig it. But coming in at number 8, averaging $75. We'll see where it goes from here. But for now, we're just going to keep this list rolling and get to our next book.
Number 7.
And with number 7, you can't go wrong with a Rogue Savage Land cover. I mean, you really can't. It's also a Granoff. I'm a Granoff fan. I dig it. I like this one in particular because it has that 80s throwback vibe with the sunset there. You guys, you've watched the channel, you watch both of my channels, you see that's image or background imagery that I use a lot because it is in my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s. Yes, I was born in the 70s, but I grew up in the 80s. So this really scratches that itch for me. There are other versions of this. This is the more limited one, I believe at 500. And then there was I think 700 limited black and white. And then I think the trade dress is a bit more. It's close to like 2000 maybe. I might be off a little bit on my numbers. Point being, the hardest to find, the lowest printed one is that 80s throwback, whereas there are other options available. And we are only focusing in here on the 80s throwback at number 7, as this was limited to 500, cost $40. Again, it's Granoff cover, but for now we have about a dozen sold, and it's averaging $95. So more than double your buy-in is what this thing is already flipping for if you were out there on the secondhand market already. So just one to watch. Again, I like it. It's pretty nice. If I were there again, it would be one of those ones I would have considered personally. But with that said, let's keep going on to our next book.
Number 6.
With our next book, we are going back to even before the convention technically started, because New York is now a 5-day show, basically, as retailers now have a whole day of events planned for them on Wednesdays where they're going to panels and meetings, and there's all kinds of giveaway and swag bags for retailers even before the convention even starts. And part of that retailer summit was leading in with some of these ash cans. So here we go. We have Absolute Batman 2, the ash can. You know, the other ash can was handed out at San Diego, but this time we have Batman 2 as well as a flip book featuring Wonder Woman and Absolute Superman. So Absolute Superman and Absolute Wonder Woman are both coming very soon. Wonder Woman, I think, is coming next week. Superman soon after. So these are the other Absolute titles that we're getting. So there is also a flip book special edition that they gave away as well. With that said, at the retailer summit, as part of the swag bag pack that a lot of retailers got, this ash can was in there, covered by Nick Dragotta. This thing is already doing pretty well with a bunch of sales, 40 plus, averaging about $40. The same could be said for that Wonder Woman Superman flip book as far as volume and pricing goes. I just went with the Batman because it had a slightly little bit more of both than the other one, but they're pretty close. So if you manage to get a hold of any of these ash cans, good luck to you. You might also see these ash cans might end up at your LCSs, your retailers. They might also get a copy with their weekly books as sort of a one per store thing. So keep an eye out for those as well. I don't know if there will be any distinction between those and what the retailers were given ahead of time at New York Comic Con. Probably not. It's probably going to be the same book, but just something to keep an eye on. With that said, let's get on to the top half of our list.
Number 5.
At a separate Marvel panel, actually, I think this one was Friday. I think the Doom one was given away on Thursday. There was a Magic the Gathering panel because there is going to be a collaboration between Marvel and Magic the Gathering as far as some cards go, with some of the Marvel characters being featured in on some Magic the Gathering cards. And to kind of celebrate this collaboration, there were given away a couple of comic books. This is the first. This is a cover of Storm number 1. You can see there in the Magic the Gathering variant edition. It does feature the art on a card that will be forthcoming very soon with the similar little bits there on the front. This came polybagged, and I also believe it came with a card as well, this Doctor Doom promo card. So one of the cards already released as a promo along with these comic books at this panel event. And that card alone sells for like $150, $170. So that was one extra that comic collectors who may not care about cards easily could have got a good chunk of change back had they decided to move on from that, or vice versa. Magic collectors don't really care about the comic, and then those folks are going to be able to do pretty well with these comics if they have them, because this is the panel giveaway covered by Miguel Mercado. Here's the price on the Storm. Storm, with about a dozen sold, is averaging about $180 with a high of $250 for, again, polybagged Marvel panel event giveaway. Those are some big numbers for this book. Again, weren't out for purchase. You had to go to the panel to get the book. Going to make it difficult to find. A lot of Magic the Gathering collectors out there, which I believe is also another reason which drove this price up pretty high. But this is a book a lot of folks wanted, and you had to go to the panel to get it. So with that, let's see our next book.
Number 4.
And at number 4, that panel also gave away a Wolverine book, which obviously people are going to be more fans. There's more Wolverine fans than Storm fans. It's just a sad fact. That's true. There's more Wolverine fans than Storm fans. So there is a bit more volume on this book, but the prices are pretty close. Once again, part of that giveaway with the Magic the Gathering panel that Marvel had, I believe, on Friday. And this one's got more than a couple dozen sold, and it's averaging about 170, so very, very close to that 180 Storm price. This one, though, had a high of 275. And once again, that's for the comics. Some of these sold with the Doctor Strange card. Other ones sold just the comics, and the Doctor Strange card, like I said, is a separate 150 or so. So a lot of money could have been made by it. So if you would have went to this panel and got all three of these things, you could have paid for probably all your tickets for the entire convention. Plus, I don't know, just saying, it's a lot of money for what amounts to basically a free giveaway if you go check out one of these panels and hear the news and hear the announcements that are forthcoming. I know everybody loves to just walk the floor and go see what's on the floor at the conventions, but don't sleep on the panels, because a lot of information gets handed out there, and more than just information sometimes. So just be mindful of that for the next convention you plan to attend. Now, with that said, we still have our top 3 to get to.
Number 3.
Get it. This one is a used homage. We've seen it before, Akira, but it is still a well-done version of it. I still like it. I ordered a copy of this ahead of time. I wasn't going to the convention. I knew I wasn't going to make it to the convention, but I knew I kind of wanted this book just because I liked it. So I'm getting one. And this is Absolute Batman, number 1, the Akira homage. Yes, there are 1,000 of these. They're limited to 1,000. They cost $30 to buy in. Javier Fernandez did a great job here, I think, with this cover. And so far, these things are doing pretty well. $30 buy-in. We have 80-plus sales, averaging over $85, hitting a high of 128. So that's 4 times the buy-in value at a high, averaging about 3 times that buy-in price. Not too bad for those that bought in early on this one, and if they were able to get a hold of this when they were walking the convention floor. So Absolute Batman is a nice cover. Like I said, I like it personally. But my personal feelings aside, let's keep this thing rolling and check out our top 2.
Number 2.
With number 2, this was the first book out of the gate that was setting the market on fire. This is Spawn 357, the retailer giveaway. I believe these are all signed by Todd. I don't think there was an option for a non-signed one, or if he was just there to sign them for free for retailers. That bit I don't know. All I know is, for the most part, most of these I do see are signed, and signed copies limited to 300, given away again at the Retailer Summit on Wednesday. This book came out of the gate on fire. I mean, this thing was selling hundreds of dollars right away. So much so that with over 25 sales, this is averaging over $430, high of $450, with many of those more recent sales being in that $450 range, the low end being like $380, $375. So that's what we're talking about here. Basically a $400 book for retailers just to show up and get their swag packs. Now, I know my buddy went. I know he got one of these, but I bet you he's not selling his, because he's a collector first. Yes, he has a store, but he's a collector first, and to his own detriment, because he could make himself some money on this book, but he's probably going to keep it for his own personal collection. That said, that was the first one out of the gate that kind of really ignited the flames of these New York Comic Con exclusives, but it's still not the top book. If you want to know what that book is, well, you don't have to wait much longer, because we're here.
And our number 1.
And at the top, it is also Spawn. And this is another Spawn 357. This is what I kind of alluded to a little bit before with our number 10 spot with the Daredevil Peach Momoko. This is the Spawn Peach Momoko that apparently started inciting a little bit of a kerfuffle on the con floor, because, well, Nerd's gonna nerd, you know. Just they gotta be first. They gotta be they gotta get what they want to get. I don't know. Limited to 500 copies though, costing $40 right out of the gate. Why are they fighting? Well, they're fighting because their $40 buy-in today is turning into a profit for most of about, selling it for like $270 plus. So you buy it for 40, you sell it for $270. That is a decent return. So it's got fans all in a kerfuffle here, getting all excited. They got to have it. Over 75 sales of this particular book, high of 310. This is interesting because usually most of the biggest books are going to be the ones that are very, very limited to, like I said, the retailers only. This was out on the floor. People out on the floor could have bought this had they gotten in early. And this is one that is seeing most of the drive for the market. So with that said, so far so good. Again, I could have done this tomorrow and got a little bit more sales information, but I felt pretty good about the sales data I had so far to go ahead and make this list. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully you enjoy everything here on the channel. And while you're here, make sure you stay here and hang out and watch the boys. Saturday night special is starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right as soon as this is done. So don't go anywhere and have some fun checking out some of the stories and some of the stuff the boys are going to be talking about tonight. And a bunch of it's going to be New York Comic Con. So with that all said, I'll see you all later with some more content, and take it easy.